Well, welcome to 155. If we haven't met, my name's Brandon. Hi. Hi. Awesome. So, we're kicking off a quick little series tonight called For Your Neighbors. And what we wanted to talk about tonight was kind of as school's getting out, who has 1 week left of school? Woo! That's awesome, right? As school's getting out, what can we do for our neighbors and what's coming up that we can, interact with them and kind of work with them. So I'm going to start off by kind of telling a story, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, and when I say story, of course it's from the Bible. So this is from Luke 15:11. I'm just going to read it. It's not going to be on the screen or anything like that, but some of you, if you've been in church, you may have heard this before, but it goes like this. It says, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father," "Yo, father," I'm going to do this my own way, by the way, "give me a share of the estate." Because back then it was like, kind of like, someday your parents may leave you some money and stuff. Back then they were just like, hey, I'm automatically going to get half the stuff because there's 2 sons. So one son gets half the stuff, the other son gets the other half. And he's like, hey, I know you're not dead yet, but could I go ahead and have half the estate now because I deserve it because, whatever. So he says, give me my share of the estate. So the dad divided the property between the brothers. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had. So he's like, sweet, thanks, I got sheep and goats and some other stuff. And he set off for a distant country, and there he squandered his wealth. Squandered means spent it all, probably doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing. Squandered all his wealth in wild living. I don't know if that means like he moved to downtown Atlanta and just like, woo, party! I don't know what that means, but he moved to the countryside and then squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything he had, which didn't take long, a severe famine hit the country, so now everybody's poor. And he's already poor because he spent everything he had. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to the fields to feed pigs. So this guy had like half of his father's estate, spent all that money on wild living, and then quickly ran out of money. Now he's feeding pigs for a living. I don't know where you're at in your job search, but feeding pigs, I think, is probably pretty low on the life goals of job search right now for you. So he was feeding pigs. And it says he longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating. That's slop, pig slop, yep. But no one gave him anything. So he was so hungry, he's ready to eat pig slop, but nobody gave him anything to eat. And then it says, when he came to his senses, I don't know how long he was hungry for before he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? It's like, dude, even my dad's people got food, and I'm out here just starving and wanting to eat pig slop. I will set out and go back to my father and say this to him. Father, I have sinned against you and heaven. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So that was his plan. So he got up and went to his father. So he's like, okay, I guess I'm just going to throw myself at my dad's feet and like, yo, dad, at least make me like a servant so that I can eat. So I don't have to be your son anymore, just a servant in your household to be fine, just so I get something to eat. And then he set off to go back to his father. And it says, but while he was a long way off, his father saw him from a distance and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him, put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. So like his son comes kind of drudging back, like, oh, Dad, I totally messed up. I can imagine he's like kind of in rags because he has no money, nothing left to even buy food. And his dad's like, yo, son, here's a new North Face jacket. Here's some new Nikes. Here's a new iPhone. He's like, wow, this ain't bad. I got some cool stuff. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for the hookup, right? And his dad says, bring the fattened calf and kill it. And he's like, we're going to Longhorn, right? It's like, we're going to get you some steak. It's going to be delicious. Dad says, let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. I want you to turn to somebody sitting next to you and say, it takes a party. Now turn to your second choice, the other person, and say, it takes a party. It takes a party. All right. For those of you who don't know, next week we are going to have a big blowout end of school block party here at 155. Huge blowout block party outside. There's going to be like a ton of barbecue. There's going to be a guy coming setting up laser tag in the parking lot. There's going to be giant inflatable. There's going to be water gun fights. There's going to be music. It's going to be crazy. You do not want to miss the block party next week. That's why we're saying it takes a party. So, let me ask you this. Why did the father throw a party for his son? He could have just kind of accepted him back. He's like, fine, yeah, welcome home, son. But he gave him some new Nikes and a new iPhone, said, we're going to Longhorn. He threw a party for his son who had returned. And I think this is why, and this is number one on your outline. It takes a party for, number one, to prove that people matter to us. Prove that people matter to us. Because I think if the son would have just like shown up and the dad would have been like, hey, I knew you'd be back, chump. The son probably wouldn't have felt super loved. He would have been glad that his dad took him back. But when his dad goes all in, is like, man, I'm so glad you're back. Let's have a party. That is definitely proving to the son that he matters to his father, right? The party says, I matter to whoever that is that's throwing a party, right? So this Friday, my oldest daughter, Stacia Keller, who's right here, is graduating high school. And some of you are graduating high school with her. I am throwing her a party because she matters to me. So we're going to have a party for Stacia because I want her to know that she matters to me and her mother. So we're throwing a party because it proves. And if I just like, hey, I knew you could do it, and just nothing, right? Stacia would be like, huh, I wonder how much he really cares. But if we throw a party with waffles, I mean, things could be a lot better, right, if we have this party. And the thing about a party is, whether you like to admit it or not, everybody likes a party because there's something at a party for everybody, right? There's like music and games and fun and gifts. Who doesn't like getting gifts, right? A party is awesome. So how do you right now show people and prove to people that they matter to you? What are you doing right now for your friends, your neighbors, to prove that they matter to you? If your friend tomorrow at school walks in at lunch and be like, dude, totally forgot my lunch. I guess I'm just going to go hungry today. Would you give them some of your lunch? Okay, maybe you like your lunch so much, you're like, I'm not sharing my PB&J, but here's $1, go buy some chips, right? I mean, maybe you'd like give them some money because you're not willing to share your own lunch because you're hungry. But, you know, maybe your friend's like, man, I'm so stressed. I have this final on Tuesday. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I'm going to make it. And you're like, you know what I could do? I know where the link is for the Quizlet for that final. Would that prove that somebody matters if you're like, hey, I know you're in need. Here's the link for that Quizlet. I just hooked you up, right? What could you do to show somebody that they matter to you? What is it that you're doing to show that? And let me ask you this. Did you know that God only wants the best for you? The absolute best for you? And it even says so in Jeremiah 29:11, which if you've been in church any time at all, you should know this verse. Says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." So let me ask you this. Do your friends know that? Do they matter to you so much that you've made sure that they know that God wants the very best for them as well? Because he wants the best for you, but he also wants the best for your friends. But if they don't know this, how will they ever find that out? So maybe it takes a party so that they can learn that, so they can know how important they are to prove that people matter to us. Say again, say, it takes a party. Takes a party. All right, number 2 on your outline is this. The second reason it takes a party is, number 2, confirm that we can always be forgiven. Confirm that we can always be forgiven. Let me tell you a little secret I found out about you. Oh, everybody got nervous, like, uh-oh. You have messed up. Yeah, each one of you have messed up. Totally. Whether your parents know it or not, you have messed up. Probably messed up royally on something. You're like, ooh, I hope nobody finds out about that. Still lay awake at night like, please don't let anybody find out I did that. Woo. You have messed up. But your friends have messed up also. Your friends have made mistakes that they're still trying to figure out how they're going to get past that mistake. And chances are, whether you know it or not, you're kind of holding out on a little secret that you know in your heart, but maybe they don't know in their heart. And this is the thing about messing up. I found this in 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind." My translation of that is, you ain't done nothing wrong that nobody's done before. That thing that you think that you screwed up on, somebody else has done that before. So you're struggling with how do I get past this? It is common to all mankind to make that mistake. So you think you're struggling with something, but it's common to everybody. Your friend out there, your neighbor, is struggling with something. They think they're the only ones that have messed up in that area. But we know that it's common to mankind. So your friends could be walking around with this burden on their shoulders like, man, I've messed up. Nobody's ever messed up in the history of the world as bad as I messed up. And we have a secret that we all know here that I just told you. No temptation. It takes a party to help somebody get past that. If we go back to our story of the father and the son, Dad could have just let the son come home, and maybe the dad's like, hey, you messed up, it's cool, just, come on in, you can be my son again, we'll figure out the money thing later or whatever. And that son would never really know if Dad truly forgave him. I don't know if you ever had that as one of those experiences, maybe with a friend where maybe you messed up and they came to you or whatever, but it was kind of fuzzy whether or not they really forgave you or not, because you never really, maybe you said I'm sorry, but they never really said I forgive you, and so you have this weird tension where you're like not sure how they really feel still about that situation. But let me tell you something. If you show up and you're like, man, I'm sorry, I screwed up, and they're like, that's cool, bro, let's throw a party for you. You'd be like, oh, they definitely forgave me. So that's what the son's doing, right? Dad's like, not only do I forgive you, I'm going to throw a party for you, because it takes a party. Your friends shouldn't have to spend time wondering whether or not they're worthy of that forgiveness, of God's love. We need to tell them that. And we have the Bible that tells us the secret to that. In 1 John 1:19 it says, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. Do your neighbors know that? Do your friends know that if we confess our sins, God will forgive us? Your friend, your neighbor could be walking around with this burden that's just eating them alive because they think they've messed up. Little do they know that if they just ask for forgiveness, they can be forgiven. So, I know it can be really weird talking to friends about stuff like this, and maybe you're not ready to share your faith with somebody and all that. So this is the deal I'm willing to make you. You invite your friends to come to church for the party, and let me and Tim and some of the other adults worry about talking to them about this stuff. All you got to do is get them here. We'll take care of the rest. We're not asking you to preach to them. We're not asking you to teach them. You don't have to go into your testimony or even pray with them up front if that feels weird for you. You get them here. We'll tell them the good news. So that's the deal. You bring them, we'll tell them all the good news. Last time, say, it takes a party. Louder, come on. There we go, now we're talking. All right, number 3 on your outline is this. The third reason it takes a party is this. Remind us that everyone is invited. Everyone is invited. Have you guys ever had a birthday party or it's your birthday coming up and you have this conversation with your parents? Because I know I've had it with my kids 100 times. Well, they're not old enough for 100, but a few times. It goes like this, and I'll be dad in this situation because I'm practiced at that. It's like, hey, if you want, for your birthday, if you want to take some friends out to dinner, instead of having a party or something, you can take 5 friends out to dinner. Or, hey, if you want to have a party, you could have 10 kids spend the night. Anybody here ever had that deal with their parents? Yep, where they're your parents are put a number on how many people can come to dinner or come to your party. That's not what this says. Everyone is invited to the party. There's no number limit. There's no, oh, sorry, 155's full. You have to come back next week. There's always a seat available. I will personally go buy more chairs if I have to fill this place up if you just keep bringing people. I don't have a problem with that. Everyone is invited. Well, I should put the disclaimer, 6th grade to 12th grade, because that's what this youth group's all about. But everyone in that age and grade demographic is invited. So let me be clear on this. Everyone is invited. This means your cool friends are invited. Your super dorky friends are invited. Anybody got a super dorky friend? Don't look at them. Don't look at them if they're in the room. Your friends that go to church, your friends that don't go to church. It doesn't matter what kind of friends they are. Everyone is invited to the party. And that's good news. Everyone is invited to the party. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you before, but imagine on Monday, so tomorrow, you go to school. And in first period, everyone in first period is talking about the party on Saturday night. And you're like, what party? Dude, you missed the best party. It was so much fun. There was a guy there just throwing $100 bills at people. It was crazy. We were all chugging Monsters and danced all night. It was incredible. And you're like, I never heard about a party. Wouldn't it be the best feeling, right? You're the only person in first period somehow that didn't know about the party. It doesn't feel good to not be invited to the party. Maybe you've already had that where you're Friday night, you're just bored, sitting at home, you're got nothing to do. None of my friends are doing anything. And then you make the mistake of getting on social media. And you're like, Oh, my friends are bowling. How come nobody told me we were all going bowling? What's up with that? Why is everybody's Snapchat story full of bowling and I'm sitting at home with my parents? It's lame, right? Nobody wants to get left out of the party, whatever that is. We're just hanging out, doing all that stuff. Nobody wants that, to be left out. Everyone is invited to the party. And let me be clear when I'm talking about the party. I'm not just talking about the party that is next weekend, even though that is going to be crazy. I consider 155 the party. They are always invited here. So this isn't like your one chance. If I can't get them here next Sunday night, I guess I won't invite any friends ever. This is always a fun environment that you can invite somebody to. This can be and should be the party. So the last thing you want is, next Monday for one of your friends to be like, wish Hannah would have invited me to that party this Sunday night. Man, if Stephen would have invited me to that party, that would have been fun. Man, I like a slip and slide and squirt guns. Right? Man, nobody invited me to that party. You do not want your friends to be thinking that about you when they see all the fun stuff that's going on and they're like, I thought I was friends with them. I thought I mattered to them. How come they didn't invite me to the party? So let me just leave you with this. Jesus said this best in John 13:34. It says, a new commandment I give you. They already had like 400 commandments they had to follow. But Jesus is like, forget all those other ones. I got a new one. This is a whole new game for you. A new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you are also to love one another. This kind of goes into that whole phrase you hear people say, do unto others as you wish them to do unto you and all that. If you want to be invited to the party, when there's a party, you need to do the same by showing love and inviting somebody to your party. So what can you do for your neighbors, for your friends? Include them, invite them. I know it can be awkward when you're talking about, let me invite you to church and you're not sure. Maybe Brandon and Tim are going to be talking funny that night. You're like, they may never forgive me. Trust me, if you say, hey, we're having a big old party next Sunday night. There's going to be free food and games and lots of cool stuff. They're like, I'm in. You don't even have to tell them where it's at. Be like, just in this parking lot. It's a parking lot party. Block party. You don't have to tell them, right? Be like, oh, you just go to the end of the street, take a right. It's right there in the back. It's easy. You don't have to tell them it's a church if you don't want to. We'll trick them once they're here. But the thing is, you want to make sure they know about the party. Jesus commanded us to love one another, which means inviting them to the party. So this is what I think. I think we should have a goal of like 100 students at the party. Wow. That's only each of you inviting one person. Some of you are going to bring like 4 or 5, because I know some of you are outgoing. Like Samantha's already going through the whole list of friends in her head. Her mom's going to have to rent a van to get them all here, because Samantha's like always thinking about all these people to bring. So who are you going to bring to the party? Because you probably can't just invite them. You're going to have to like plan this out and be like, yo, Mom, we're going to have to stop by and pick up my friend on the way to church because I invited them. They said they don't have no way to get there, so we're just going to bring them. So if you need to coordinate with your parents to bring somebody, that's cool too. You just need to bring somebody to the party. So I'm going to ask Caitlin to come back up, do her final song here in a few seconds. So I have some next steps for you. So if you turn over your connection card there's some next steps on the back. I want everybody to look at your connection card for a second. Look at your connection card. I want to see everybody looking at it. Are you looking at it? The first next step is this. It says, I will get to know someone new tonight. We're going to make this fun. We're going to have a little special group session after this where you're going to get to know somebody a little bit new tonight. So everybody can check that box because you're going to get to meet somebody new. So you can check that box for next step. Go check it. See the box? You put a pin line through it. Okay. Next step is this. I will bring someone to the block party. this is what I'm going to challenge you to do. At the bottom of your outline there's like 2 lines where you can write prayer requests and special things for the staff if you want us to know about them. I want you to write the name of the person you're going to bring to the party. One person. Who could you bring to the block party? I want you to write that on the bottom of the card. Just one name. Doesn't have to be a full name. I'm not going to like hold you to it and be like, yo, where's Samantha? Right? I just want to know who you're inviting to the party. So that's it. It takes a party to show people that they matter. To let people know that there's forgiveness out there. We owe that to our friends, to our neighbors. So this isn't just about, how many people can we get at 155? This is about changing our friends' lives. Because you've gotten something special out of coming to church, or you wouldn't still be coming. Don't hold that out from your friends. Let them know about that as well. So if you guys will bow your heads, I'm going to pray, and then we'll have Caitlin sing this last song. God, thank you that we can come here and just realize that it takes a party. As we get ready for summer break, God, these students get ready to kind of scatter and maybe go on vacation and do all this fun stuff. Let them not forget how important it is to reach out to their friends, to their neighbors, and invite them to church. Invite them to a place where they can be safe and have a good time and learn about things like forgiveness and love. Because maybe their friends and neighbors aren't hearing that today at their homes. God, I just ask that you give all these students the courage they need to step out and invite somebody to come back to 155 next week for this party. And if they can't come next week, maybe the week after that or the week after that, but God, that they relentlessly just ask friends to come to church with them, God, because it takes a party to change people's lives. And we want to have that party here at 155. Thank you for what you're doing in this youth group. In your name I pray. And everybody said, amen.